I designed my sister's entire wedding, every invitation, every menu, every printed detail down to the monogrammed cocktail napkins. But when I showed up at the venue in my emerald green dress, they wouldn't even let me in. "Sorry, your name isn't on the list." That's when I heard my mother say something that broke me completely. "You're not family anymore." If you've ever been pushed aside by the people who were supposed to love you most, stay with me. This is not just one of those revenge stories. This is how I stopped begging to be chosen and started choosing myself. Growing up, I always knew my family didn't quite know what to do with me. I was the second daughter, the quieter one. My older sister Claire was radiant, loud in the best way, always the centre of every room. And my parents, Paul and Margaret Carson, well, they didn't hide their preference. Claire was their masterpiece. I was the afterthought. We lived in a classic colonial-style house just outside of Boston. It wasn't huge or luxurious, but it sat in a good zip code, as my dad liked to say. He was a financial planner, very practical, very precise. My mum, Margaret, stayed at home most of the time, occasionally dabbling in interior decorating and real estate, mostly for the social cachet. She always said raising us was her full-time job. I later realised that us meant Claire. When I was younger, I made excuses for it. Claire was older. Maybe she needed more attention. Maybe I was just independent. I didn't need my mum to braid my hair before school or cheer the loudest at my art shows. I had my sketchbook, my own quiet world. And for a long time that felt like enough. My dad, he was the one who noticed me. He'd sit at the dining room table while I worked on drawings, nodding slowly like I was building something important. "You see things people don't," he told me once. "That's going to matter someday." That little comment stayed with me. It felt like being seen. But then everything changed. I was 15 when he died. He had a heart attack while watching TV. One minute he was complaining about acid reflux. The next he was gone, just like that. And with him, the only real connection I had in that house vanished. At the funeral, my mum wrapped her arms tightly around Claire while I stood off to the side, clutching one of Dad's old ties. No one even noticed I was crying. From then on, it was just us three, my mother, Claire, and me. And trust me, 3 is a terrible number in a house like ours. Someone always gets left out, and that someone was always me. My mother threw herself into Claire's world after my dad passed. Shopping trips, weekend brunches, college tours. It was like she'd been waiting for an excuse to merge lives with her favourite child. Meanwhile, I was expected to manage myself. "You've always been so independent, Juliet," she'd say. But it wasn't a compliment. It was permission, a way to justify never asking how I was doing. And somehow I did okay. I threw myself into school. Art was still my anchor. My teachers loved my work. And in my junior year, one of them entered my portfolio into a national competition without telling me. I won. There was a small article in the local paper. My mum clipped it and slapped it on the fridge with a weak smile. "That's cute," she said. "Claire would have been creative too if she hadn't had such a busy social life." Cute. That was what I was to her. Still, I held on. I told myself she just didn't know how to love me, that if I kept showing up, kept trying, she'd come around. The moment I got into Rhode Island School of Design on a full scholarship, I thought it would change everything. Claire had struggled through community college before dropping out to marry a guy named Blake. Meanwhile, I was on my way to one of the best design programs in the country. But at dinner, when I announced my acceptance, Claire laughed and said, "Wow, I guess some people just get lucky." "And my mum?" She smiled and replied, "Well, we all know college isn't for everyone." Then turned to Claire. You've always had real-world charm. The air got heavy, like even my biggest moment wasn't really mine. But I didn't give up. I moved to Providence. I worked hard. I freelanced during school and got picked up by a boutique design agency in Boston right after graduation. I saved. I got my own apartment. I built a life. And still, I called home every Sunday. I came home for holidays. I bought thoughtful gifts. I let their dismissiveness slide because I wanted them to see me. When Claire got engaged, I felt weirdly hopeful. She was marrying into wealth, and the wedding was going to be a spectacle. I knew my mum would go all in on this one. I thought maybe, just maybe, if I offered to help, if I showed them how much I cared, how good I was at what I did, they'd finally look at me and say, "You're not just useful, you belong." So when Claire mentioned needing help with invitations, I offered, not just to design a card. I built a whole visual identity, custom monograms, letterpress textures, floral borders, table cards, menus, signage. I worked nights. I paid out of pocket for proofs when I didn't need to. Because I thought I was designing a way back into my family. I didn't know I was designing the packaging for my own exile. I should have known something was off when my name wasn't on the wedding website. I'd designed it myself. Every page, every banner, every floral divider. I'd even taken a Saturday to shoot custom photos for the backgrounds. But when I clicked over to the family section and saw only Claire, Mom, and the groom's family listed, I paused. There was no Juliet, no mention, not even a sister of the bride, just blank space. I told myself it had to be a mistake. The next day, I brought it up casually while Claire and I were reviewing font styles for the menu cards. "Hey," I said lightly, "I noticed my name's not on the family section of the site. Want me to add it back in?" Claire didn't even look up from her phone. "Oh, weird," she mumbled. "I guess we just forgot. Probably when Mom and I sent you the info, it just slipped. Yeah, go ahead and add yourself, I guess." I guess. Like I needed permission to be part of my own family. Still, I let it go. I let a lot of things go, like the fact that I never actually got a wedding invitation. I told myself, well, obviously I'm invited, I'm designing the whole thing, but something about not having one stung. So I brought it up to Mum one Sunday call. "Hey, weird question, but I never got an invite. I know I don't need one, but I kind of wanted to keep it, like a memento, you know?" There was a beat of silence. Then she laughed. "Juliet, honey, of course you're invited. Claire probably thought you already knew. Besides, invitations are for guests, your family." I wanted to believe that, but it felt off, like when someone says, "Trust me," and you immediately feel the urge not to. Weeks passed. I kept working on the wedding designs. I customized everything: menus, seating charts, thank you cards. I even sourced specialty paper from a vendor friend who owed me a favor. I made dozens of revisions whenever Mom or Claire sent me a "just one more thing." "You think this font looks too serious? Can we make the gold more gold? Can you move the leaves 3 pixels to the left?" They treated me like their in-house graphic designer, which I was, except I was unpaid, unthanked, and uninvited. But I swallowed it, because I still held on to the hope that all this effort would matter, that on the day of the wedding I'd be able to look around and think, they saw what I did, they saw me. But then the seating chart arrived, and my name wasn't on it. Not at any table, not with family, not with friends, not even at the overflow section for co-workers and distant cousins. I double-checked the spreadsheet Claire had sent me, triple-checked the printed version, nothing. No Juliet, no seat. My chest tightened, my face flushed with heat. I called Claire immediately. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "I don't see my name on the seating chart." Long pause. "Oh," she said. "Yeah. So Mom and I figured you'd be too busy running around, helping with things. You probably won't be sitting much. Claire, I'm not a wedding coordinator. I'm not even in the bridal party. I've been helping with the design, not managing the event. Right, but still. You know how it gets. Chaos. You can probably just grab a plate during cocktail hour. Just grab a plate. After everything I'd done, I was being told to grab a plate, like a staffer in the back kitchen. And maybe that's when it hit me. I wasn't being treated like family. I was being treated like a service provider, someone useful but disposable. You ever had that moment where everything suddenly connects? All the little slights, the "you don't need this" comments, the way they smile just enough to keep you hopeful? That's where I was, standing in my apartment, staring at a seating chart I designed, realizing I wasn't even on it. And this might sound weird, but I want to ask you something right here. Have you ever been excluded from something your own family made you help build? Did they let you do the work, but made sure you never felt like you belonged? If that hits, tell me in the comments. I want to know I'm not alone in this, because in that moment, I've never felt more invisible. I didn't confront anyone after that. I didn't scream. I didn't quit. I just kept going, because that's what I've always done. I finished the programs, I revised the cocktail napkins, I created this beautiful monogram with Claire and her fiancé's initials woven into a laurel wreath. Everyone loved it. It got sent to the printer for the dance floor decal, for God's sake. But there was no J in it, no Juliet, no space for me. I even bought a dress. It was emerald green, soft satin, tasteful slit, square neckline. I spent way more than I should have. But I wanted to look like I belonged, like maybe someone would look at me and go, "Wow, Juliet showed up." Truth is, I'd been showing up my whole life. They just never bothered to look. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I kept rehearsing little things in my head, like how I'd greet people when I arrived, where I should stand during the photos, whether my dress was too bold or just bold enough. I'd packed everything with precision. My emergency wedding kit, extra printed materials, a sewing kit, safety pins, super glue. I'd even printed a few spare programs and menus in case someone spilled champagne on theirs. I was determined to show up prepared. Because somewhere deep down I still believed that if I just did everything right, maybe this day would go differently. Maybe they'd finally see me. I arrived at the country club 3 hours before the ceremony. The parking lot was already buzzing. Vendors unloading flowers, photographers testing light angles, catering staff rushing trays inside. I felt a flutter of excitement, mixed with anxiety I couldn't shake. The venue was stunning. My designs were everywhere. The gold-trimmed seating chart by the entrance, the navy and cream programs nestled in each chair, the hand-lettered signs guiding guests through the space. Everything looked perfect, and it felt almost like I belonged. That illusion shattered quickly. I approached a woman with a clipboard, Vanessa, the wedding coordinator. "Hi, I'm Juliet Carson, Claire's sister. I help design everything, so I just wanted to check if anything needs adjusting before guests arrive." She blinked. "Oh, you're the designer. I thought everything was handled remotely." "I'm also family," I added, trying not to sound defensive. "Right," she said, flipping through her notes. "Well, things look great." I nodded and moved toward the bridal suite, hoping to see Claire, even just for a second. Outside the door, I heard music and laughter. I knocked. The door opened a crack, and one of Claire's college friends peeked out. "Oh, hey, Juliet, right?" I smiled. "Yeah, just wanted to check in, see if Claire needed anything." Before she could answer, Mum appeared in the doorway, already dressed in her slate blue gown. "Juliet," she said, voice tight, "what are you doing up here?" "I came to make sure everything was okay. Just wanted to say hi." She glanced over her shoulder, then stepped into the hallway and gently closed the door behind her. Claire's getting ready. She needs calm energy today. You understand? I'm not here to cause chaos. I just wanted... Maybe check downstairs, she interrupted, her voice still polite but clearly dismissive. Make sure the place cards are properly arranged. That's where you shine. I froze. My hands gripped the clutch in front of me. Can I just say hi to Claire for a second? Mum sighed and lowered her voice. Sweetheart, today isn't about you. Claire has a lot of pressure. Don't take it personally. Before I could respond, I heard Claire's voice from inside the suite. Is she gone? I really don't need any drama today. I took a step back. My mother didn't flinch. She just nodded once, as if that settled everything. I turned and walked away. Downstairs, I wandered through the reception area where guests would soon gather. The room was immaculate. Each table was perfectly set. My menus sat neatly on gold-rimmed plates. My calligraphy adorned every place card. And yet, as I stood there in my emerald green dress, one I'd spent too much on because I wanted to match the colour palette, I felt like an outsider in a gallery of my own making. No one greeted me. No one looked my way. When it came time for the ceremony, I slipped into a seat in the back row. The music swelled. Guests murmured with excitement. Then the doors opened and Claire appeared, radiant, beaming on Mum's arm. I watched them walk the aisle together, and a part of me felt like a child again, watching from the sidelines while they smiled for everyone else. After the ceremony, I stood off to the side as guests mingled. Claire and Ethan took pictures with family. I waited for someone to call me over. No one did. I finally worked up the nerve to enter the reception line. At the entrance, a staff member held an iPad with the guest list. Name? He asked. Juliet Carson. He scanned the screen, frowned, scrolled again. I'm sorry, I don't see you here. My heart skipped. That's not possible. I'm the bride's sister. I designed everything. He gave me a pained smile. Let me get the coordinator. Vanessa came over, looked at the list, then looked at me. Your name isn't on the approved guest list. I'm sorry. I felt heat rise up my neck. There must be a mistake. And then my mother appeared. What's going on? She asked calmly. They're saying I'm not on the guest list, I said, turning to her, expecting her to laugh and fix it. Instead, she gave me a look so cold I actually flinched. Juliet, she said softly, so only I could hear. Claire wanted a peaceful day. You've always kept yourself separate anyway. It's time you accepted that. I blinked. I'm your daughter. Only I could hear, you were, but today, you're just someone who helped with the decor. I stared at her. You're saying I'm not family anymore? She tilted her head. You said it, not me. I took a step back. Behind her, the staff and a few guests were watching. Then I guess I'll leave like a guest who was never invited, I said. She didn't stop me. She didn't call after me. She didn't even look like she cared. As I walked toward the front doors, the weight of everything hit me. My heels pinched, my chest ached, my hands were shaking. I passed the mirror in the lobby, caught a glimpse of myself in that green dress with perfect makeup, hair curled just so, and I thought, I showed up today like family, but I'm walking out like a stranger, and somehow they're okay with that. I didn't cry, not when I walked down the marble steps of the country club, past clusters of guests taking selfies in cocktail dresses. Not when the heavy doors shut behind me with a final echoing thud that felt more like a locked gate than an exit. Not even when I stood alone in the courtyard, the soft wind pulling lightly at the skirt of my emerald green dress. I didn't cry. But I couldn't move either. The pain in my chest wasn't sharp. It was heavy, like something had collapsed inwards, like I'd been hollowed out without realizing it. I'd shown up to my sister's wedding with everything I had. I brought beauty, thoughtfulness, effort, years of trying to belong, and they'd looked at me, looked right through me and said, You're not one of us. The dress I wore had felt powerful when I'd left home that morning. Now it felt absurd. The heels were already biting into the backs of my ankles, and I had nowhere to go. I didn't even know why I had parked so far back. Maybe I thought I'd walk out of there proud. I didn't expect to walk out like a ghost. About halfway to my car, my legs gave up on me. Not dramatically. I didn't collapse or sink to the pavement. I just stopped. I looked around and spotted a bench near a decorative stone fountain. Slowly, like I was twice my age, I walked to it and sat down. That's when the tears finally started. Not sobs, just slow, steady streaks down both cheeks, like the grief had been waiting for a quiet place to land. The fountain bubbled behind me, its sound strangely soothing against the chaos in my head. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes, maybe longer. I didn't reach for my phone right away. I couldn't. I didn't want to see the wedding hashtag filling up with photos of a celebration I had helped build, but was never part of. Eventually, my body shivered. The dress wasn't built for sitting outside in the late afternoon breeze. I finally pulled out my phone, not to scroll, not to read anything, but to make one call. One name came to mind. Not Mom, not Claire, not even extended family. Just one person. Monica Lewis, my college roommate, my best friend, my emergency contact on every form since freshman year. I pressed her name. She answered on the second ring. Juliet? I opened my mouth and nothing came out at first. Then I whispered, "They didn't let me in." A pause. What? Who didn't? The wedding. I wasn't on the list. Mom, she said I'm not family anymore. I could hear Monica grab her keys. I'm coming. Stay where you are. You at the venue? Yeah. Front courtyard. Stone bench. I'm on my way. That's all it took. No questions, no confusion, just action. As I waited, guests occasionally passed by on their way in, smiling, laughing, heels clicking against stone. A few gave me curious glances. None stopped. I must have looked like some rejected +1 who got dumped before dinner. And maybe I was, dumped at least. I wiped my face, fixed my lipstick, not because I cared about appearances, but because it was something to do, something that made me feel like a person again. When Monica's car pulled up 28 minutes later, she didn't even park properly. She just threw the door open and rushed to me. I stood. She wrapped her arms around me so tight my breath hitched. I never liked your mum, she muttered into my hair. But this is low, even for her. She guided me into the car like I was made of glass. The second the door closed and we pulled away, the sobs came. Ugly ones, loud, involuntary. I don't even remember what I said, just fragments. I designed it all. I wore the dress. She told me I'm not family. I thought if I tried hard enough, they'd let me belong. Monica didn't try to fix it. She just drove. Let me break. Let me unravel. Later at her apartment, she handed me a pair of sweatpants and a faded hoodie. I changed in silence. The satin of the dress felt cold when I peeled it off. I folded it neatly and left it on a chair. I already knew I'd never wear it again. We sat on her couch for a while, sipping chamomile tea. She let me talk in circles. She didn't rush me. At some point she asked if I wanted to check my phone. I haven't looked since I called you, I said. She nodded. Probably best not to. But just in case, check your texts. Someone might have noticed. I hesitated, then opened my phone. 12 notifications from family, not Mom, not Claire, but cousins, aunts, even Claire's old piano teacher. Didn't see you at the wedding, missed you. Where were you hiding? Everything looked amazing. Hope everything's okay. Claire's big day turned out perfect. I stared at the messages. Perfect. Claire got the perfect day, and I got erased from it. Then one text from Mum, sent just a few minutes ago. Your behaviour today was unacceptable. We'll discuss this after the honeymoon. You embarrassed everyone. I handed the phone to Monica. She read it. Her face darkened. Block her. I can't. You can. You should. She doesn't get to hurt you like that and still have access to you. I looked down. My hands were shaking again. I've spent my whole life trying to prove I deserve to be loved by her, I whispered. If I block her, it's like giving up. No, Monica said gently. It's like finally accepting that her love isn't love, and you deserve better than that. I didn't block her that night, but I turned off my phone. The silence that followed was terrifying, but strangely it was also peaceful. No dings, no guilt, no pretending I wasn't breaking. I curled up in Monica's guest bed, still wearing the hoodie she gave me. The fabric smelled like laundry detergent and safety. And for the first time in my adult life, I didn't fall asleep wondering how to be better for them. I just let myself exist, bruised, broken, but breathing. The week after the wedding was a blur of sleep, silence, and soup Monica made from scratch. I didn't go to work, didn't open my laptop, didn't answer texts. Every night I lay on her guest bed staring at the ceiling, wondering how I had spent my entire life chasing people who never planned to love me back. By Wednesday, Monica sat on the edge of my bed, took my hand and said, "You need help, real help, not just tea and silence." She found a therapist, Dr. Rivera, who had a last-minute cancellation. I almost didn't go, but something inside me whispered, "You've tried everything else. Try this too." Dr. Rivera's office didn't feel clinical. It felt like someone had turned warmth into furniture. She didn't ask me what happened. She said, "Start wherever you need to." So I told her. Everything. The favoritism, the silence, the way I kept volunteering to be included, the wedding, the bench, the dress. When I finished, she leaned in gently. "Juliet, what you're describing isn't just neglect. It's a system. Your family taught you that love must be earned through service, and when you tried to stop performing, they cut you out." I said nothing, but something inside cracked open. For the next 2 weeks, I kept seeing her. Slowly, I started showing up for myself again. I went back to work, quietly, kept to my desk, said no to birthday cards and office happy hours. But when I opened my design software, something had changed. My work had more weight, more honesty. It felt less like decoration and more like truth. One afternoon, my creative director stopped by my desk. She held up a mock-up I had just submitted. "There's something in this," she said. "It feels lived." I nodded. "Yeah," I said softly. "It is." For once, I wasn't designing to please someone. I was designing to process, and it showed. 3 months passed before I opened my email to find a message from Claire. She wanted to meet for coffee, not to talk about the wedding, not to apologize, just to talk. Part of me hesitated, but another part, quieter, steadier, felt ready. We met at a small cafe near the river. She looked tired. Her perfect hair wasn't quite perfect. Her designer bag sagged like she hadn't slept in days. She talked first. About how Ethan had been distant since the honeymoon. About how Mom kept pushing them to host holiday parties and have a baby. About how she felt like no one really listened to what she wanted. I listened. Really listened. Then she looked at me and said, "I think I understand now what it felt like for you. I'm sorry." I didn't say it's okay, because it wasn't, and maybe never would be, but I nodded. Thank you. When she invited me to Thanksgiving dinner at Mom's, I paused. I'm hosting this year, I said. You're welcome to join, but it's going to be small. Friends, people who want to be there. Claire didn't come. I didn't expect her to, but she sent a bottle of wine and a card. I hope your Thanksgiving is full of warmth. Thank you for the invitation. And you know what? It was. Monica came, of course. So did my neighbour Reggie, my co-worker Naomi, and a few folks from the community art collective I'd joined. We squeezed around a mismatched table. Someone burned the stuffing. We had store-bought pie. It was imperfect. And it was exactly enough. That night, as I washed dishes with Monica, she looked at me and said, "You look lighter." I smiled. I feel like me. Not who they wanted me to be, just me. She raised a glass of leftover cranberry punch. To the family you build. I clinked mine against hers. To the ones who never make you earn love. Have you ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you, but didn't? Or maybe you've built your own kind of family, one that sees you, values you, and actually wants you around. Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this one resonated with you, tap like. Maybe share it with someone who needs to hear you're not alone and you never have to beg to belong.